Good morning, Wake Crossroads. This is Pastor Jeff. And for those of you who are participating in our church quiet time, you know that this coming Sunday, we will begin reading through the book of Exodus, and we're going to spend several weeks in that book. So I wanted to take a couple of minutes just to give a brief introduction and some things to be look out for as we spend the next couple of weeks in Exodus. First of all, just as a narrative, the book of Exodus is an exciting read. It's a fun read. We see Israel, the nation of Israel, moving from being enslaved in Egypt at the beginning of the book to by Exodus 40 at the end. They are a called out, special, unique nation. With God dwelling in their midst. No longer slaves, but actually a nation that has God dwelling among them. Along the way, we see God accomplishing this through some miraculous means. He appears to Moses through a burning bush that is not consumed. We see him performing miracles and sending plagues to the land of Egypt that convinces Pharaoh to let his people go. We see God parting and a sea, the Red Sea, for an entire nation to pass through. And then we see God entering into a special, unique covenant, giving the Ten Commandments and the law at Mount Sinai. So, as a narrative, there is a lot to cover, and it's a fun read as we go through Exodus. But theologically, this is a very significant book for the nation of Israel. We see that this is a significant part of the fulfillment of the Abrahamic covenant. One of the promises that God made to Abraham was that he was going to make a nation of his descendants, and we see that being accomplished through the book of Exodus. They multiply while they were enslaved in Egypt, but it is in the book of Exodus that God calls out this people and makes a nation of them, but not just any nation. This is God's elect nation. God actually calls Israel his firstborn son in Exodus 4. And in Exodus 19, he uses some other striking language just to show how unique Israel is. In Exodus 19, verses 5 and 6, he uses the words of that Israel would be a treasured possession, and that Israel would be a kingdom of priests, and that Israel would be a holy nation. So this isn't just any nation that God is calling out. This is his special, unique nation that he is calling out for a purpose. We see God revealing himself to Israel in a unique way, even in the name that he chooses, even the name that he tells Israel to refer to him by. Not just the general name for God, Jehovah, but at Mount Sinai, he introduces himself to Israel as Yahweh, and that is the covenant special name that he has given to those that he is in a unique relationship with. So theologically, we see that this is the book where God calls out Egypt, makes them his own possession, but it's for a purpose. The purpose that he calls out Israel for is to be a light to the nations. And this is where we can actually move into some application for us as well. Because if we go back to those descriptors of Israel in Exodus 19, we see similar language as we flip ahead to the New Testament. I want to read to you from 1 Peter. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9 says, "But you," writing to Gentile readers like us, those that are non-Jewish believers, "but you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for his own possession, that you may proclaim the excellencies of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light." So those same words that God used to describe the people of Israel, Peter now makes application to us as the church today. It doesn't mean it as the church that we have replaced Israel. It just means that just as God called out the nation of Israel to be a light to the world, so are we called out as his chosen people to be a light to the world as well. We haven't replaced Israel, but we do get to participate in some of those promises that God has made to them. So, and we also share in that same purpose. So, as you read through the book of Exodus, think about just the what God uses in the story to call out the nation of Israel. Think about the theological significance of how he enters into this relationship with them. But also, just as importantly, just remember that we have been called out as well. We have been redeemed from slavery for a specific purpose. We have a unique relationship with God, but that's not just for our benefit. It is a relationship that we are to share with the lost nations that are around us. So I'm excited to get into this book and hope this is helpful as we begin to read through the book of Exodus over the next several weeks.